Some people aren't lonely because they lack people. They're lonely because they learned how to disappear emotionally without ever leaving the room. They still show up, they still answer messages, they still sit at the table, but nothing really reaches them anymore. And from the outside, it looks like strength. It looks like independence, like maturity, like someone who doesn't need much. But what most people never realize is this: emotional distance doesn't always look like isolation. Sometimes, it looks like calm. It looks like someone who doesn't react, someone who doesn't ask for much, someone who never seems disappointed. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous, because no one questions it, not even you. This didn't happen because you wanted it to. You didn't wake up one day and decide to shut down emotionally. Your nervous system made that decision for you. It learned it slowly, after disappointment, after being misunderstood, after staying open just long enough to realize the cost was higher than expected. At some point, feeling deeply stopped feeling rewarding. It started feeling risky. Explaining yourself felt exhausting. Trust stopped feeling safe. Hope started feeling naive. So your brain adapted, not to make you happy, but to make you survive. It didn't ask what would fulfill you. It asked what would hurt less. And the answer was simple: feel less, need less, expect less. So you did. You stopped leaning in. You stopped sharing before you were sure it was safe. You stopped reacting honestly. You learned how to keep parts of yourself behind glass. Not because you're cold, but because you were hurt while being warm. And your system remembers that. Your brain doesn't care if you feel alive. It cares if you feel safe. And safety to the brain means predictability, not growth, not depth, not connection. So now when closeness appears, something subtle happens. Your body tightens. Your mind scans for exits. You don't think, "This feels meaningful." You think, "Be careful." And caution slowly becomes distance. You might call it being selective. You might call it boundaries. You might even call it self-respect. But what's really happening is quieter than that. Your nervous system is preemptively shutting down. Before things get real, before expectations form, before vulnerability has a chance to cost you something. And here's where the pattern starts. Something hurts once, so you create a rule. Something hurts again, so you add another rule. Soon, your life is full of invisible lines no one else can see. People don't know where they stand with you, what's allowed, what's welcome, what will cause you to pull away. And when someone crosses a line they didn't even know existed, you retreat. Not angrily, not dramatically, quietly. You stop responding the same way. You stop sharing. You stop showing up emotionally. And the most dangerous part? Your brain rewards this. It gives you relief. And relief feels like proof you did the right thing. Relief feels like peace. So the pattern reinforces itself. After a while, something strange starts happening. The same story keeps repeating. Different people, same ending. They seem interested at first. They try to connect. They open up. And eventually they fade. They stop reaching out. They stop pushing. And you tell yourself a familiar story. They weren't safe. They were too much. They didn't understand me. But patterns don't repeat because everyone else is wrong. They repeat because something inside you hasn't been questioned yet. Ask yourself something honestly. If everyone eventually feels exhausting, if every relationship eventually feels like work, if every connection ends with distance, at what point do you stop asking what's wrong with them and start asking what your nervous system is protecting you from? Because sometimes the boundary isn't there to keep danger out. It's there to keep vulnerability away. And vulnerability is the one thing control cannot survive. Here's the part most people avoid admitting. Some of the people you pulled away from weren't toxic. They were human. They didn't read your mind. They didn't get it right immediately. They touched something tender in you. And instead of staying present, you labeled them. You created distance. You left emotionally before anything could deepen. Not because they were unsafe, but because staying would have required courage. At some point, your brain learned a very specific equation. Leaving first means never being abandoned. Withdrawing first means never being exposed. Shutting down first means never being disappointed. And it feels smart. It feels controlled. It feels like maturity. Until you realize something quietly terrifying. You're not being hurt anymore. But you're also not being touched. Not emotionally, not deeply, not meaningfully. Safety is not the same as peace. Control is not the same as freedom. Walls don't just keep pain out. They keep life out too. If every relationship must feel easy, if every conversation must feel comfortable, if every connection must come without friction, then what you've built isn't healing. It's an emotional shutdown disguised as stability. And it works, until it doesn't. You stop feeling intense pain, but you also stop feeling deep joy. Excitement feels muted. Love feels distant. Life feels flat. You're calm, but disconnected. You're protected, but untouched. And the cruelest part, you call it peace. This doesn't mean all boundaries are wrong. Some boundaries are necessary. Some are life-saving. Some protect you from real harm, but others are fear frozen into rules. Rules that keep you from being seen. Rules that keep you from being known. Rules that keep you from being chosen. Because you never stayed long enough to find out. Real boundaries don't punish. They communicate. Real boundaries don't disappear. They explain. Real boundaries don't isolate. They clarify. Fear-based boundaries do the opposite. They confuse people. They create distance. They end connection before it has a chance to mature. And slowly you start living smaller. Safer, but smaller. Here's a truth most people avoid their entire lives. You cannot be deeply connected and fully controlled at the same time. You have to choose. Connection requires risk. Presence requires courage. Love requires the possibility of loss. There is no version of deep connection that doesn't include discomfort. No version of intimacy that doesn't include uncertainty. No version of love that doesn't include vulnerability. The part of you that shut down emotionally wasn't trying to destroy your life. It was trying to protect you. It learned this pattern at a moment when staying hurt more than leaving. But that moment is not every moment. And the problem is, that part never learned when to stop. So now it reacts to discomfort as if it were danger. It treats uncertainty like a threat. It treats closeness like risk. It treats vulnerability like a weakness. And you organize your entire life around avoiding those feelings. You survive, but you don't fully live. So maybe the real question isn't, what boundaries do I need to set? Maybe the real question is, what am I so afraid of feeling that I keep everyone at a distance? Is it rejection? Is it abandonment? Is it being misunderstood? Is it being seen clearly and still not chosen? Because that fear didn't come from nowhere. But it also doesn't have to run your life forever. The moment you start noticing when you shut down, when you pull back, when you disappear emotionally, that's where things begin to change. Not because you force yourself to open, but because you finally understand why you closed. In the next video, we're going to talk about the exact moment emotional shutdown happens. Not the event, the moment. And why reopening yourself feels like danger even when what you want is connection. That's where the real work begins. Stay close.